Memoirs of Lucien Bonaparte, Prince of Canino, written by himself, translated from the original manuscript under the immediate superintendence of the author. Introduction. Since the consular republic, under all governments, the pamphleteers have too often made me the subject of their leisure. Revelations, secret memoirs, collections of anecdotes, the fruits of imaginations, without shame or decency, have not spared me. I have read all of them in my retirement, and I was at first surprised how I could have drawn upon myself so many calumnies, never having offended any person. But my astonishment ceased when I had better appreciated my position, removed from public affairs, without influence, and almost always in silent or open opposition to the powers, though sufficiently near to keep them constantly in fear of my return to favor. How was it possible for the malice of the courtiers to leave me in repose? And since the downfall of my family, they have thought, without doubt, that it would not be displeasing to the ruling powers to continue their noble work of calumny. I resigned myself, therefore, to what appeared to be the natural effect of a position that I had chosen for myself, or had been imposed upon me, and I have left the field open to those brave gentry who delight in oppressing the prescribed. I have found in my conscience, with which Providence has blessed me, sufficient to console me for every injustice. It is not therefore for a personal end that I have resolved to publish these memoirs. I do it because they appear to offer materials of some value to a history so fruitful in great events, of which the serious study may be useful in future to my country. Public opinion will inform me if I have deceived myself, and in that case, this first part of my memoirs will be all that I shall allow myself to publish. Memoirs, Chapter 1, Corsica. There is still a country in Europe capable of legislation. It is the island of Corsica. The valor and constancy with which those brave people recovered and defended their liberty merits that some wise man should teach them to preserve it. I have a presentiment that one of these days that little island will astonish Europe. The Social Contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Chapter 10, The Bonaparte Family, the French Fleet in the Bay of Ajaccio, Popular Society in the Admiral's Vessel, the Marseillaise Conscripts, Fate of the Agents of the Ancient Regime, Return of Paoli, his reception at Ajaccio, his sentiments with regard to England and France, his residence at Rostino, his wonderful memoirs, our separation, my departure for the continent, dangers in flight, when the revolution opened in 1789, the grand era of political reform, I entered my 15th year, after having been alternately for some time at the College of Autun and at the military school of Brienne, lastly at the seminary of Aix-en-Provence. I returned to Corsica. My mother, a widow in the prime of her life, devoted herself to the care of her numerous family. Joseph, the eldest of her children, was 22 years of age and seconded her attentions to us with ardor and with a paternal affection. Napoleon, 2 years younger than Joseph, was just returned from France with our sister Marianne Elisa from the École Royale of Saint-Cyr. Louis, Jerome, Pauline, and Caroline were still children. A brother of my father, the archdiacre, Lucien, was become the chief of our family. And though gouty and bedridden for some time past, he watched over our interests without ceasing. If Providence had struck us with a cruel blow in depriving us so early of our father, it compensated for that loss as far as possible in leaving us yet for some time that excellent uncle and in endowing the best of mothers with that spirit of constancy and strength of soul which the future that opened before us furnished the opportunity of giving abundant proofs in the course of wonderful prosperity, and also in that long exile which still holds us beneath its inexorable influence, and of which she had not the consolation to look forward to the termination in her dying hour. A brother worthy of our mother, the Abbé Fesch, completed our family. Although holding one of the first ranks in the island, in every respect our fortune was not very brilliant. Several voyages of my father to France, where he was deputy of the noblesse to Louis XVI, and the expenses of our education, superior to his means, notwithstanding the benefits he derived from government, had much impoverished our fortune. The education of my two elder brothers upon the continent, mine, and the deputation of our father to Paris had rendered us entirely French. Corsica had been declared since the 30th of November, 1789, an integral part of the monarchy, and that declaration, which had satisfied the wishes of the islanders, had completely effaced from their minds the bitter remembrance of the conquest, the philosophical ideas and revolutionary agitations which prevailed upon the continent, fermented also in our heads. And no one hailed with more ardor than we did the dawn of 1789. Joseph entered into the administration of the department. Napoleon prepared by serious studies to march with giant steps in his career prodigies. And the third brother, a mere boy, ran to throw himself into the popular societies with the lively enthusiasm of a youthful and ardent mind filled with the remembrances of college and the great names of Rome and Greece. I think it right to suppress all details that are foreign to the public affairs. Of what avail would they be? Amid the numerous recollections of my early years, I noticed those only which appear to me to be useful. It was, I believe, in 1792, that a numerous fleet commanded by the brave Admiral Truguet, left Toulon, filled with troops intended for an expedition against Sardinia. This fleet cast anchor in our beautiful bay. On the first news of their arrival, the whole population of Ajaccio covered the shore. The sails pointed to the horizon, shining in the brilliant rays of cloudless sun. I flew with the swiftness of an arrow, and joining some members of a club, who, in the absence of my elder brothers, were delighted to follow me, I placed myself at their head, crying, "These are our brothers! These are the tricolored flags!" We ran like mad creatures along the shore, as if we could have joined the fleet the sooner by going farther from the port. The music, the flags, and the reports of the guns, fired in sign of joy, contributed to increase the effect. But while we were losing our breath, the vessels, driven by a good wind, entered the bay, perceiving too late that they had the advantage of us. We retraced our steps. In consequence of too much eagerness, we were the last to reach the fleet, but at the name of the popular society, a power of that time new and magical, all ranks gave way before us, and followed by a deputation which proclaimed me their chief, I went on board the admiral's vessel.